Hello. I'm stupid. Live is on. What do you say? Okay, guys. Welcome to this YouTube live session. Um, Now, before I start, I just wanted to I want to give you a quick overview. So, what are we trying to achieve through this session? Okay. So, as you know, we spend a lot of time studying, students, professionals, and the reality is that if you spend, say, 3 hours, 4 hours studying, if you're not doing it the right way, if you're not efficient, you are going to be wasting a lot of time. Right? In fact, from my experience, I can say with confidence that almost everyone, right, because we have not been trained, we use very inefficient ways to learn, and as a result, it's almost like it's almost like you have a bucket, and the bucket has a big hole at the bottom, and you're pouring water. So what happens when you pour water? The water will just leak and it will go away. Similarly, when it comes to learning also, if we are spending 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, let's say a day studying, and if we are not using the right techniques, out of those 4 hours, 5 hours, probably maybe we could have learned the same amount in just 1 hour. Right? That is the problem. And today my goal is to start this series. So this is not the only session. We'll be doing a series of these training sessions, and will help you practice those skills and get better. Remember, this is a training session, which means you have to do things, right? And we'll do a bunch of those things whereby we will bring the latest, the best research in this area in terms of how to learn well. And also, I would like to share my own experiences. So let me get started with that. Okay, so just as a quick background, I used to be, many years back, I used to be an IPS officer, and I want to talk about the civil services exam. As you know, the civil services exam, it's a very competitive exam. Almost 10 to 15 lakhs people write the exam now. Even when I wrote, the number was smaller, but still it was very competitive. And the first step is what is called the preliminary, which is also, in short, we call it the prelims exam. Now, now the thing is, in this exam, the syllabus is very, very, very vast. In fact, a lot of people prepare for one full year or maybe a couple of years sometimes, just to be ready for the prelims exam. But unfortunately, my BTech program at IIT, it was getting over on 30th of April, and the exam was sometime in June, which means I had less than I had less than 2 months, right? So I had less than 2 months to prepare for the exam. Right? Now the question is, how should I have prepared? And I knew that if I try to go with the conventional method, so what do people do? They'll buy those books and they'll start reading, and when you're reading, you will highlight, underline important things, use a highlighter, and then read it once, then revise it second time, third time. That would have taken me probably like 1 year or maybe more than a year, and I had only like 1.5 months or something around that. So, so the thing is, I use a different technique, and I'm going to share those techniques with you. And remember, this is the important thing. It is not about smartness. It is about, you don't need smartness. Obviously, smartness is helpful, but here we are not talking about smartness. We are talking what you require for efficient learning is two things. One is you need a scientific approach, which is what I'm going to teach you. And second, of course, like anything in life, you need hard work, which I'm assuming that you're willing to put in. Right? So, with that assumption, let me just move forward. Now, here's a question for you guys. Why do studies take up so much time? I know children, I talk to parents, and very often parents come and tell me, my daughter is not, at night she sleeps at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, then she wakes up at 5 o'clock, and still the child does not score well, and they want to know, should we ask her to, maybe should be on Sunday, should we ask her to study more? No, not required, right? So the question is, why do studies take up so much time? And I would say these are a couple of reasons. One, and maybe you can relate to them, so if you can, just let me know. One is, let's say your mom or dad tell you have to study. Now your mind is somewhere else. You're thinking about some movie, or talking to a friend, or playing, or something which happened in school. and you are sitting in front of the book, you're kind of reading the same page again and again, and still nothing, you can't absorb anything, so you lack focus. So this is one of the common problems, right? What are the other problems? The other problem, so this is, I talked about this one, right? This is the, this is, let's say, the first problem. Second is, sometimes, when you have to read the same thing multiple times. Why does this happen? Again, because your mind is not absorbing, right? So your brain is, so it's almost like, let's say, if you put a sponge in water, it will absorb the water very quickly, but if you put a stone in water, then it is not going to absorb anything, right? So this is the other, this other problem. And what happens is, you have to read things repeatedly, and after 3 or 4 times also, you're still not very clear, yeah? Sometimes what happens is, you feel like, I have understood, right? But so you read a page, you feel like, okay, fine, I'm understanding. And then when you're done, if somebody asks you, okay, so what was the point discussed in the second paragraph, you'll probably say, I don't remember, right? This happens to a lot of students, right? And then specifically when it comes to, say, maths and physics, those kind of subjects, kids are studying, right? But even after that, they're not able to solve the problem. So these are some of the common problems that students face. And this is why, honestly, this is why you're spending so much time studying. And I'm going to teach you how to spend maybe like one-fourth the time and still learn better. Okay, so here's a question for you. Do you want to learn more in less time? And I'm very sure the answer should be yes. If it is not yes, then this is not the right place to be. So assuming that the answer is yes, right? So here is our goal. Our goal is to become a super learner, which means somebody who can learn very, very fast, and whatever you learn, you are able to retain it, you are able to apply it. Okay, this is the objective. This is our goal, and I'm assuming that all of you who are here, every one of us, wants to do this. Okay. Now, here's a question. Before I start, I want to ask a quick question to do a diagnostic. So the question is, let's see if I give you a textbook and ask you to read a chapter. So the question is, how would you read that chapter? So option A is, you start reading at the beginning of the chapter, and then you highlight all the important points. So maybe use a highlighter or something, and then you underline them. Option B is, maybe you have some other technique. So now I want to pause here for maybe like, a couple of seconds and ask you, can you tell me how many of you do what is option A, which is you start reading at the beginning? How many of you do something else? So I'm just looking at the live chat in the YouTube right hand panel. Please let me know what you guys do, how you learn, right? So let's just wait for like 20-30 seconds to see what the responses are. Okay, so just waiting to see the responses. Let's see. Now I'm doing it. Okay. What else? Anybody else? A. Okay, got it. Yep. So so a lot of people. So not surprising, right? I would say almost everyone, and this included myself as well. Even I used to do option A. This is what everyone does, and I will show you that this is the wrong approach, right? And wrong as in like, it's not like wrong as in like stupid, but it's not the most efficient approach. So now let us learn a better way of doing this. Okay, so now that's our journey. So let's get started. So let's say I show you this. Just read this carefully. Okay, so what I've done is I have taken a chapter from class 9th physics. Okay, and this is an exercise. So now, see, this is a training program. So you're not listening to a video. You are working on this along with me. Okay, we are doing this together. So my question to you is, what does this tell you? Just read these headings. So what I've done is I have taken a chapter from class 9th physics, CBSE, and I have just written down all the chapter headings. Okay, so this is the first topic. Not chapter, topic headings. My apologies. So this is the name of the chapter, and this is the one topic, this is the next topic, another topic. So these are all topic headings. I would like you to just take like half a minute and just read them carefully. Okay. Okay, so now you are now what I want you to do is just in your mind think about what is the story that this chapter is telling us. Okay, now you can see that it is the name of the chapter is force and laws of motion. Then it talks about balanced and unbalanced forces, right? Then it talks about the first law of motion. Then it talks about inertia and mass. So probably the first law of motion and inertia and mass, maybe they have some relationship. Then it talks about the second law of motion, and within second law of motion, this is 9.4. There's one 9.4.1, which is the mathematical formulation of second law of motion. This basically is saying, just telling in simple terms, what is the mathematical formula for which captures the second law of motion. Then this is the third law of motion. Then we're talking about conservation of momentum. Okay, so there will be more topics, but these are some of the topic headings. Now when you look at this, right, what does it tell us? It, even though we have read nothing about the chapter, okay, we have no idea what the chapter has, we can say a few things. One is that, okay, this is about it is a lot about forces and motion, and it starts with balanced and unbalanced forces. Now even if you have not learned this term balanced and unbalanced, you can probably think in your mind, okay, so balanced might be like two things are equal and they are cancelling each other. Unbalanced is when they are not cancelling, right? So there's a sort of, sometimes you might be able to use intuition, sometimes you might not be able to use intuition. And then you'll say, okay, and after that there are some three laws. It's talking about first law, second law, and third law, and then there is something called conservation of momentum. Even if you don't understand these things, just by looking at all the topic headings, you already have some idea as to what the chapter is going to, what are the things that the chapter has. Now what I want you to do is, and in this exercise it's we will probably not have enough time, so I'm going to skip this exercise here. But what you should do is, before you read any chapter, okay, before reading the chapter, go through all the topic headings. Now how do you do that? I'll explain that, right? So let me just switch on the camera so I can just talk to you and show this. So give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so what I want you to do is open your textbook. Okay, now look at every topic heading, and in your mind, you don't have to mug it up, don't try to memorize it, but just try to understand. Okay, so now this is talking about the first law, second law, and then once you have read 4 or 5 headings, after that you close the book. Okay, you close the book and then open up a notebook or whatever, and from your memory and from your understanding, don't look at the book. Okay? From your understanding, just write down, okay, this is the first topic, this is the second topic, this is the third topic, and so on. The reason you have to do this is, it will give you the structure of the chapter. Just think about this way. So let us say, you join a new school, right? When you go to school, what happens? It's a big building. So the first thing you're trying to figure out is, okay, where are the classrooms? Where are the labs? Where is the principal's office? Where is the playground? Once you know where the classes are, then you'll try to find out, okay, where is my class, right? So you need an overall structure. So this is something that I would like you to do, which is figure out the structure of the chapter, right? And second, whenever you are starting a particular new topic, okay, don't start reading the topic. First think about the topic heading. Okay, so this topic is, let's say, about third law of motion, right? So okay, so now I've finished first law, I finished second law, so now we have come to third law. So let me now try to understand what the third law is. So this is something that I would like you to do. This is very, very, very simple. It will not take a lot of time, but this is very, very important. If you do not do this, what will happen? You will be I'll tell you exactly what will happen. You are reading maybe it's a 30-page chapter. You're on page number 7, and then you are wondering, okay, so where am I? Like, where does this fit in? Like, am I reading about this is some introduction to a concept, or is it an application, or I'm reading some example? No, you will get lost, and as a result, you'll waste time. Right? So this is something that I would like you to do. Right? Now, so scan topic headings and write it in the notes from memory, and then create a story in your head. The story is okay. So we are talking about the three laws of motion, and then we are talking about the conservation of momentum. This is sort of basic idea. Okay. Now I'm not going to give you. I don't have time to do the exercise, but I will share with you a link to the NCRT chapter on gravitation. Those of you who are in advanced classes, or even if you're after school, that's fine. You can just do it as just for fun. Like, these are the, if you can just see here, these are the different topic headings, and from here, even without reading anything in the chapter, we can get a reasonably decent idea as to what the chapter is going to cover. So as an example, here we'll see that, okay, this it starts with gravitation, so maybe it just talks about some introduction. Then it talks about the universal law of gravitation and the importance. So maybe this might be, why this law matters to us, how it impacts our uh, what is application in life. Then it talks about free fall, right? So, and then within free fall, we're talking about G. Maybe you don't know what a small G is. Maybe you know small G. That's fine. If you don't know, then you say okay. If you don't know, you'll say okay, fine. So there's something called small G. We need to figure out what it is, because that seems to be important. After that, motion of objects under influence of gravitational force of Earth. Okay, so this is too complicated. I don't remember. Maybe you can tell yourself, okay, maybe what they're saying is, okay, when you drop something on Earth, then what happens? That is what this is talking about. Then you see mass and weight. Oh, okay. So now maybe I used to think both are same. No, but they're not the same. And there is maybe, so I learned something about difference between mass and weight. And then you see weight of an object on the moon, which means maybe the weight of an object is not the same on Earth as on moon. So this is like a story you tell in your head, right? So this is what I meant when I said create a story in your head. So you have a basic idea as to what this chapter covers, and how these things relate to each other. This is a simple idea. Okay, it's not a very complicated idea, but this is going to help you a lot. Right? Now the second one, which is like even more powerful, I am going to come to that now. Right? Now before I do that, now we have to get hands on. Okay, so now my talking gets over. Right? So let me actually switch to the camera so I can. So hopefully you can see me, and I can also. Okay, here we are. So now what I want you to do is, I'm going to give you a passage, a very simple English reading comprehension passage with just one or two paragraphs. The first paragraph, okay, it's a simple, fun fun passage. Read it, right? Start from the beginning, read it, and after that there are some 5 or 6 questions given. Just answer those questions. That's all you have to do. Okay, I repeat, read the uh, read the passage, and after that there are some questions that are given. You have to answer, and the PDF, the link is being shared with you in the YouTube chat. So look at the right hand panel. We are sharing links with you. Please click on those links. On that link, download that file, open it, and take a few minutes. There's no rush. By the way, there is no sense of urgency. Take your time. Take a few minutes. Read it carefully, and then after that, answer the questions at the end of the passage. Okay. So, and I'll wait for you to do that. Okay. So the first one that has been shared with you, it's called rocket ship. I will share the next one as well. Okay. So what you can do is you can just download Rocket Ship and read through the passage and then answer the questions. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Nisha, you shared the yeah, but anyway, no, that's fine. It's my fault. Don't do anything now. Next time. Take your time. Just go through the essay and just. Okay, excellent. So a lot of you have done the questions. Again, this was just an exercise. It was not designed to be easy or hard. This is a simple passage, but I just wanted to show you a process. Okay. Now, what you did was you went through the passage, and then when you were answering questions, some answers you might know, but in many cases, some of you would have had to go and look for the information. So you would have to go back and forth between the chapter and the question, which means when you read, sorry, between the passage and the questions, which means when you read the passage for the first time, a lot of things would not have been absorbed fully. Now this passage is an easy one. Okay. Now next I'm going to give you a slightly harder passage, but I want you to do it differently. What is the technique I want you to do? I want you to not start on the passage. Okay, I'll repeat. Next passage that you get, I do not want you to start reading the passage. I want you to first go and read all the questions. Okay, and then try to think about the answer and spend some time there. Okay, so you have to read all the questions, and then after that you have to then go and uh, uh, try to okay, so actually the sequence, the first, so ignore what you see on the screen. Let me just actually change it now. I'm going to share the next next link. So let's just Dropbox link will come to you now. Nisha, share the link, no? Okay, fine. Share the link. Okay, so now you have the Dropbox link. Now download this one, and first go and look at the answer options. Okay, questions and answer options, and then after that, I would like you to read the passage, and then as you read the passage, then you answer them. Okay, once again, go through all the questions and answer options. Spend some time, try to guess what the answer might be. You wouldn't know, right? And then you go and read the passage, and as you read the passage, you'll find that when you see the answer, go and answer the questions. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Let's do that. Okay, so now I think probably everybody has finished this. Now, as you saw, the second passage it had a little more information than the first one. And the first passage, some questions you can answer just from your general knowledge. Second one was not like that. It needed some more information. And yet you must have seen that because you had read the questions earlier, it was much easier to get to the answer, to get the right answer. Now I want to actually, let me just move it. I'll just get the camera on. Okay. Yeah. So here's the question: why does it become so much easier to understand and answer when you have read the questions earlier? And the scientific reason for that is when you are reading a question, you know what is the answer that you're looking for, right? So when you read something, your brain is already looking for some information, so that information pops out before you. I'll give you an example. So let us say next time you try this, when you are, let's say, going on a car drive with your family. So let's say you play a game with your brother, sister, or parents, or whoever, and the game can be any silly game. Just as an example, let's say you say, okay, we will count how many cows we are seeing on the road, right? Whoever in next 10 minutes, whoever can count more cows, that person wins. It's a stupid game, but let's say you try that. What will happen? You will suddenly start seeing many more cows than you would normally find in a drive. It's not that the number of cows has gone up. What has happened is now your brain is looking for that information. So when you're looking for some information, you will notice when you get it. So similarly here also, when you are looking for answers to specific questions, when you're reading now, your brain is actively looking for stuff, and therefore the absorption of the information is much more effective. So next time what I want you to do is, especially when it comes to academic reading, see, when it comes to novels and all that, storybook, that's different, right? But when it comes to academic reading, spend a good amount of time with the end of chapter questions. Look at the questions. If it's a multiple choice questions, go through the answer options, read them, think about what the answer could be. Now you may not know the topic, that's fine, but what I want you to do is, I want you to know, okay, I am supposed to look for this, right? That's enough, right? Now these are two of the techniques that we teach you, and we would like you to use. Now these techniques, they look simple, but as you must have seen, they are very effective, right? I'll give one specific example. When I wrote my GMAT exam for my MBA, so there they have the section of reading comprehension, and I had exactly the same problem, which is that I would read it, and the passages there are not easy. They're sort of a little difficult, right? So I would read, but I would still sort of miss, and I have to go and read passage 2 times, 3 times, and so on. So this is the technique I use there, that first go through all the questions and answer options quickly, and then read, and that did a trick, and I could score fairly well in that portion of the exam as well. Right? Now there are other techniques also. We are going to, so in the next session, we are going to talk about an even more powerful technique, which is how do you take notes while writing. So remember, when I started this session, I talked about my experience of clearing the civil services prelims exam. I did these 2 things there. One is, in fact, there was no time to read. So what I did, I bought there was a big question bank I bought, and I told you about the end of chapter questions. In fact, there I did not have time to even read the theory, read the main textbooks at all. So I only went to the questions. So there were probably 5 or 10,000 questions, and I would just go through the questions very quickly. And when you go through a question, then think about the answer options you see, and then think about it. What's happening? Your brain is actively trying to look for information, and when you see the right answer, it sort of gets logged in. Second is, I would take notes, and that I'm going to talk about in the next training session. So there are 2 techniques here and 2 techniques in the next training session. Those are the 4 major techniques that we recommend and we train you to use when we are learning. And I can assure you, if you can make it your habit, right? If you can make it your habit to do these things, your learning effectiveness will go from reading a chapter 5 times and then still not understanding. You will be able to understand in one go. Now there is one thing. You may feel that, okay, this is going to take some extra time. I agree. It will take some extra time, for sure. But remember, if you don't spend that time, you are going to come and read the same thing, 3 or 4 or 5 times later, right? So it's so much better to spend that extra time and get a real grip on the topic. So this is it. This was for students, but it's also for anyone writing any competitive exam or anyone who wants to learn any subject. Even, in fact, I try to use these skills when I am studying anything in science, maths, or programming, or anything that is of interest to me, and I would like you to use this. If you like this session, please share your feedback. I would love to have your comments. And the next session would be next Friday, 6:30. So same time next week, we'll have the next session. This technique of learning that we are talking about, this is called Ultralearning, and this is not just based on my experience. There is a lot of research. In fact, there is a book called Ultralearning, written by the author is Scott Young, and he finished the 4-year MIT curriculum in 1 year. Right? So that actually requires a very high and very efficient pace of learning. And those are the techniques, not all of them, but some of them, those which are relevant for us, we are bringing to you, and we are going to train you to inculcate those techniques. Right? So I hope you found it useful. Would love to, as I said, please share your comments and feedback. And yeah, I'll see you next week. And in the interim, if you send any comments, I would definitely read and I'll respond to those as well. So thank you for joining. And one more thing, some of you on this program already know this. You join my early morning program as well. So I do a habit building program morning 5 o'clock where we build a healthy early morning ritual. The objective of all these things is to help our students and our new generation be very smart and efficient and have strong willpower and determination, because that is what can help us get ready for long-term success, right? So thanks very much. I've spoken a lot. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next week, same time, 6:30 next Friday. Thank you for joining.